over this board as we make decisions that impact our constituents, continue to protect us and guide us as we go through this year. In your name we pray. Amen.
So
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Gadsden?
Here.
Alton?
Here.
Getty? Here. Smelter?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Campbell?
Here.
Hatfield?
Here.
And Jackson.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Reports from state or county officials. Are there any state or county officials with us this morning who would like to give an update to the board?
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. You all know Tammy Price, but I'm here today to introduce her as the new Deputy Administrator / Finance Director. She'll be starting with our office on May 26th, working on transition right now with the courts, but wanted to welcome her aboard, and we're looking forward to working with her, and I know she's looking forward to working with all of you. So, Tammy, anything you want to say?
Add, Tammy?
No, I just really am excited to get started. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and I hope to add to the team.
Well, you've done a lot of detailed stuff in your previous position with the courts, looking at all those long multi-pages. I can always tell when you're coming when I've got a 200-plus page book. So your details speak before you, so we welcome you to the team. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Additional reports from state or county officials?
Good morning. Guess I can't move that. Rich Timke, Director of Berry County Community Mental Health, and I come just this morning to give you some highlights from our annual report. I think that was emailed to Commissioner Jackson and to Eric. If not, I guess with hopes that you would pass that along. If not, then let me know and we'll make sure that y'all get that. So highlights from our annual report. We talk a lot about our crisis care, that can occur anytime, anywhere. We highlight our behavioral urgent care, which is at the clinic. So in essence, that's like urgent care for physical health. You just walk in and receive the care that you need. And also our mobile crisis, which is 24/7. We do a lot of work with law enforcement, dispatch, and coordination with mobile crisis and that. So regarding crisis care, we had just under 200 individuals last year, 263 crisis events or services, visits, and 36 pre-screens or screens for hospitalization. Total individuals served, just under 2,000 unduplicated, 577 children, 1,422 adults, and that is just under 43,000 or around 43,000 services that were provided to individuals. So in addition to providing those services, we try to do that in a way that's going to help individuals on their path to recovery, whatever that looks like for them, right? And so mostly we do that with evidence-based practices. We started a new one last year called DBT, Dialectic Behavioral Therapy. And so our hope with that is just like when we started our ACT program, that would help reduce individuals that are hospitalized. So we saw a lot of promise with that. So we did see the state, MDHHS, came out to audit us to see how we were doing with our CCBHC. We're required to collect a lot of data, perform a lot of things according to their policies. So they had a lot of positive things to say about us for such a small community in CMH. One thing that they especially highlighted, and they had us present to other CCBHCs, was our effective and efficient referral process, not only internally but to external providers. So what that gets at, two things that CCBHC were trying to do, right, is increase the access to care, and you saw how we did that with those numbers earlier, but also to integrate care, to connect people to the other care that they need so that they're served in a holistic manner. And so the state saw that we were doing that in a very efficient and effective way. So we were pleased to do that and pleased to train others in what we were doing. SWIMBA came out recently and audited us for fiscal year 25, and just like our state audit, that went very well. We received several areas we received 100% in. So access and utilization management, 100%, claims management, 100%, compliance, 95%, credentialing, 100%, customer service, 92%, grievance and appeal was 94%, quality, 100%, and SUD services, 100%. So, very, very well in all those areas that we are performing. Two more things I'd just like to highlight. It's been a while, but I have talked extensively, I think, and provided information on the state's attempt to bid out the PHP system, right? And so that was quashed in essence by Judge Yates that said, hey, your RFP violates law, you probably shouldn't do that. And then there was a hearing to which the judge would either dismiss that case with or without prejudice. So that hearing was a few weeks ago. April 23rd, Judge Yates actually issued an order dismissing the case without prejudice, which is what the plaintiffs, the CMHs and the PHPs were looking for. Which I think, I'm not a lawyer, but I think in legal terms that means they would have the right to appeal those decisions. Where that stands now, so at that hearing, the state's attorney indicated that they, as a representative of the state, she was authorized to state that they are developing, editing a new RFP that would comply with the law. So we had heard that was supposed to be released first week of May. We haven't seen that yet. We're keeping an eye out for that. So the plaintiffs, so the CMHs, PHPs, are meeting with their attorneys, and we're saying, okay, what are best next strategies, anticipating if an RFP comes out, what might that look like? And also a potential appeal on the previous case where the judge said to the state that the state can randomly determine the regions. The CMHs and PHPs would argue that that's up to the counties to do. So that's ongoing, and we'll see what happens there. And then the other kind of hot topic is the mental health framework, which is a policy process that the state is attempting to put in place for individuals that are in the process of being hospitalized. So they're trying to distinguish individuals that are maybe mild to individuals that are more severe. It gets really confusing. The Hospital Association is not for this. Our association is not in favor of this. I think your association is not in favor of this, but the state, or DHHS, is proposing to move management of a highly intense services, so like inpatient care, crisis residential, partial hospitalization. They're proposing to move that care to the health plans. So the concern would be that the health plans really, they don't have a good track record with intensive cases. And the other concern is, just like in the previous lawsuit I mentioned, that goes against mental health code, which is law in Michigan. So that's what I wanted to bring for you today. If you didn't get our annual report, let me know, and then either myself or Brenna will send that out to you. So appreciate your time.
Any questions for Rich? Are you seeing a spike in cases?
We are, and even this year, so what is it, May? So we're halfway through, or more than halfway through the year. According to Emily, my chief clinical officer, we are we are outpacing that number, so we're seeing more people than even last year. So, yep.
I read an article in Bridge, Michigan. It said something like 6% of Michigan homes are experiencing some type of a mental health issue or crisis that requires some intervention, and that was a surprising number. That 6% is a big jump for what I thought it would be. So you're going to be busy if that's
Yeah, we're, I think when I first started here a few years ago, we had maybe 70 people or so that worked for community mental health. And now that number is probably up to about 110 or so. And that's because of the volume of individuals within the county that are seeking services or needing services.
fantastic. Well, I appreciate the information and the update. Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
State or county, one more?
There's an old saying that tells you step on today, maybe attached to the ass, you got a kiss tomorrow. Hi, Tammy. Look forward to working with you, though. Okay, I couldn't leave her untouched here, but yeah, looking forward to working with her. I thought it was a good choice, so welcome aboard to the admin. Just quick on the in-car cameras, they're in every car except for the ones they're working on to put on the road, the new ones coming in. So we'll just give you a quick update on that. Most of the cars have Motorola's, the new Motorola's in them, and we're still waiting for the portables and body cams. So we got the hoops you got to jump through even after you get them, go through the state, get them programmed through the state and stuff like that. That's what we're waiting for. All right, thanks.
By the way, happy birthday. What is it, your 40th? So, 40th birthday?
Well, it was really a 30th, but I liked it so much I did it twice. So.
State or county officials? Hearing none, limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for any item listed on our agenda.
For you, Bruce. Bruce said I couldn't talk about him, so we'll talk about something else. Larry Osborne from Delton, talking about on your agenda, the planning and zoning. Was invited to a workshop, is what they called it, where they looked at all the ordinances that are going to change. Excuse me. It's a really interesting way they did it. They had you break up into groups and then work together to review the changes that they made. And I thought I was just going to get to sit there and relax and have them talk to us, but they made us actually work. And it was very productive. But we had retirees like myself, business owners, had a township supervisor. We were even blessed with an actual county commissioner at that meeting. So it went really well. But anyway, he's doing an excellent job from what I see. I just wanted to add that in because that was a really interesting way to hold that meeting, to workshops and come up with all the things. So I know I'm supposed to make some kind of gripe there, but that's all I got for right now. Thanks.
Thank you. You'll think of something. Yeah. Additional public comment? Hearing none, approval of our written agenda. At this time, any member of the Board of Commissioners may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as written. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they'd like to share with the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I've received numerous phone calls, and I know John's dealt with this before when this was in his district, but on the northern part of Berry County, there's the big dairy farmer up there in Freeport. They go down like this mile stretch of road on Vetter Road, and they're hauling up to 1,400 80,000 pound trucks per week, and the dust and the houses are rattling and everything else, and they're really concerned about stuff. So I mean, at the township last night at Carlton Township, we talked about possibly having and John's been through this, where you sit down with a farmer and if they could just do dust control, they agree to do dust control twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. But if they could just possibly, if we could get them to agree to weekly, I think it would go a long ways with these people that live on this road that are enduring this dust. And don't get me wrong, I'm for farmers, okay? But the Right to Farm Act, when it was written for, 70, 80 horsepower tractors pulling a manure spreader down the road, not semis pulling liquid tankers with 80,000 pounds of liquid manure. Okay, so I mean, that's what's changed. And there's no speed limit on this road. And, but I think if we could just get him to sit down and agree to possibly a little more dust control, I think it would go a long ways with the people that are living on that road. So I told them I'll bring it up. I represent them, and it is an issue. So I'm going to try to get with Kevin Erb, who's on the Carlton Township Board, Brad Carpenter, and if John wants to be there, try to set up a meeting with the farmer to address it. And he doesn't have to do anything by law, and they can't change the speed limit on the road either. So it'll be just go a long ways with, I think, a relationship that they should try to build with the people that live on that road that are dealing with us. And none of us, if we had to live on that road, we'd be saying the same thing. Okay, I've seen the dust clouds on that road as I've driven that way before. So it's an issue. So hopefully I can set up something with somebody, talk to somebody, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I just wanted to bring it up to the board.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, I believe it's a safety issue, because you just can't see anything if you meet one of them trucks. And I believe they need to be slowed down. And my idea wasn't for to travel on the Class A roads, but that adds 3 miles to them, and they refuse.
Okay. Thank you. Additional correspondence? Hearing none. Consent agenda. Commissioner Getty.
I move for the approval of the April 27, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes.
Motion by Getty, support by Smelker for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye. Opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, will you call a roll?
Bassett?
Aye.
Carlton?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Smelker?
Aye.
Jamison?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye. Yeah, she
Jackson?
I'll be consistent.
Testing you this morning.
Yeah. Did you call me?
Yeah, I did.
Aye. I just called one. Dave got called twice. Thank you. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations this morning. We have Liz Lentz with us.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be in front of you today with a report on Berry County opioid settlement funds. This has been a lot of years and a lot of energy from a lot of folks and lots of different facets to this process. So happy to present to you, and we all have a copy, and there were some available here on the table. This is the report for opioid settlement funds as of today for Berry County. This is a boilerplate that was given to us by the Michigan Association of Counties, and we've made it our own. And as you can see, we've had 2 proposal submission periods with 5 funded projects. In 2025, $15,000 was awarded, and this year in 2026, we had the pleasure of awarding $122,800. And some of you were on that committee, and there's been many people involved across the county that helped make those decisions as we steward these dollars to help prevent substance misuse with opioids and other substances, but also to kind of mitigate and kind of make it better for people who suffered because of the opioid epidemic and the situations there. So we have kind of 4 areas that we've been helping, and this has been given to us by some needs assessments that we participated in with your blessings with Michigan State University, as well as some that the Substance Abuse Task Force has done as well. And we know that we are able to work with Berry County United Way for housing support services to support individuals with substance use disorders, and then family support protective factors with Berry County YMCA, supports for recovery with the Berry County Serenity Club and Berry County Treatment Court, and then some transportation services, some seed money to get somebody started to become a certified peer recovery coach, to be able to build the capacity to provide transportation services for folks who need rides back and forth from places to help them in their recovery. This has been, as I said, this is the culmination of many years of hard work by many people, and I just would like to thank everybody involved, especially Bill Mattson, and he really helped this as well as many other members of committees, and that helped us get that RFP process off the ground and helped us award these funds. We have signed agreements, as you know, and everybody who received funds has received their reporting requirements, and so we expect to see some reporting come in soon for our 2025 recipient, and in October we expect to see reports for this year's, for their first set of reports. So thank you very, very much, and please let me know if you have any questions. As you know, we do have the website. The Opioid Settlement Funds website is on the Substance Abuse Task Force website, so this report will be posted there, and we'll continue to update that and share that information. Hoping to link the county website with the Substance Abuse Task Force website so that, like other counties, someone can click on Opioid Settlement Funds for Berry County and go right to this information as well. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions from Commissioner? Commissioner Beth?
So how much money is left to be distributed?
I don't know. People don't trust me with money.
We received a little.
That didn't come out right. I don't know that amount.
We had 400,000, I think.
A little bit over,
Last
yeah.
time we looked, we've had 7,000 come in here, 8,000 come in there. But, Liz has in a report how much we're expected to receive over the 17-year period.
Yeah. They're still saying about 1.5 million over the whole life, so. Thanks, Marcia.
The certification of the individual as a recovery coach, so that's a driver, right? So they can have, have those conversations in a vehicle, right? So you have somebody trained.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. Build the capacity in the individual and in the program so that it alleviates risk, but also increases skills to be able to help people who may be suffering in that moment. If you have a certified peer recovery coach or someone who has been there but also has all the skills and is certified, then that will...
Some of the best conversations happen in a...
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Commissioner Smelker?
I just want to make a statement. Thank you for what you do and the time you put into it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that you, as a commission, have given the Substance Abuse Task Force this opportunity to be stewards and to work in collaboration with everybody. This isn't a one-person job. It's going to take all of us. It's going to continue to take all of us. So thank you for what you do, too.
Additional questions? Mr. Jemison?
No, more of a statement. I was lucky to be on that committee with Marcia and Liz and Bill and a few others. And it really, first time that I had really ever got to hear some things about opioid addiction and stuff like that and how it affects people. Knock on wood, luckily I never had to deal with that with one of my children or anything. But I really appreciate their passion to helping people. And that's that's what this is all about, right? The housing part of it. The $100,000, you might not think it's a lot of money, but to help 10 different people with rent assistance and stuff like that, so they can help get them back on their feet, and help them, guide them, get a job, be self-supporting, get them back into society, and to have a leg up like that, I think it was a big deal, right? That we got to see some of this stuff. So I was glad to be on that committee. It really helped me understand things better.
Thank you. I was glad that you were on the committee, too. It was a great committee. I didn't have to do any work. I just listened.
Thank you, Liz. We will look forward to the next update on how this is going.
Thank you.
This is, I see 17 years, almost 1.5 million, so I'm sure we're going to be friends. So.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next presentation from Jim Dahl, Drain Commission Annual Report.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The second page of the report, I wanted to add a little levity to the whole situation down in Delton. That project, I believe, is almost to the end. So we'll come back to that at the end. We've been busy. These are all the different drains that we've done projects on, worked on, beaver clearing, all sorts of good stuff all over. We did have a little bit of a respite from the beavers last year. I think we only took 25 or 30 of them versus the 60 to 80 we were taking the year before. So we were pretty happy about that. We did lose our main trapper, Earl Craven. He's had several operations this year, and he told me he is done. Jody Adams stepped up, so did Ray over towards Nashville. Johnny up to Duncan Lake has picked up that section, so we're not without trappers. These guys know their stuff. Johnny came in on Duncan Lake Intercounty last fall when we had flooding and took out 5 beavers in 3 days, and we got rid of the whole issue. That's pretty good considering up in Kent County or Allegan County, their trappers take a couple of weeks to get it done. So not to knock them, it's just our people are very, very aggressive and very efficient. We cleared trees on Quaker Brook, dipped on the Woodland Town Center all the way down through, because a few years ago, Woodland, when we had big rains, actually flooded and got into the sewer system in there, which we're not supposed to have stormwater in sewers. So that was a big gain for them. Woodland was pretty happy that their streets weren't underwater. It's amazing, you clear half, 3/4 of a mile of a drain and get it all cleaned out. It's amazing how much change that makes for people. We had to tie in some drains on Chase Drain that they couldn't find them when they did the project, but we did find them. My maintenance guy ran a rodder down through there, and we did a little digging and got them all tied in for Regan Chase. The Geiger Intercounty, it needs a lot of work, but there's a structure there, and somebody in the past had just opened up the ditch downstream of it, which allowed junk to get into the tile, so we had to get that fixed. That kid would really like us to come back and start dipping on that, but I don't know when we're going to get there. The Graves Drain, that was for Larry Palmer. We got about a mile and a half of that cleaned out, and all the spoils we took to a new house there, and they used it for their yards. We didn't even have to get rid of it. That worked out really good for them. We did find a gas line on that one, 24-inch high-pressure main, and we were told if we would have hit that, we wouldn't have an excavator, I wouldn't be here, the 3 closest houses wouldn't be here. We have reached out to consumers and asked them if they would lower it. We are first in time according to our easements, so they're in the wrong. Don't know how far we're going to get. The drain is working good. The people are happy with the drainage, but it would be really nice to have that thing. Typically, we ask them to be 5 foot below our historic grade minimum, if not 10, and they didn't do it. It was put in the early 50s. Our easement went back to the 20s, so it's just one of them things that we run into. Another gift that keeps giving.
Do they flag that? So you knew it was there, you just didn't know what
Right.
elevation?
Well, it was weird. We dug down 4 foot upstream and 4 foot downstream and took the probe and went thunk. Oh, there it is, right in the bottom of the drain. So we contacted them. They came out and said, oh, well, we're number one. I said, no, here's the easements, here's all the paperwork. This is your mistake. Now, in their defense, up until 1956, all the easements for the drains were only recorded in the drain office. And that has caused a lot of issues. That was a law. We're trying to get some of them, and Sarah knows all about this. We've been recording them for the Little Thornapple. We're doing Duncan Lake Intercounty, get them into the Register of Deeds and in the clerk's office so people are aware of it. But it's really hard to get that stuff done. So, but we just keep plugging away. Wes took over doing all the gauges for down on Watson. We were paying $120 an hour for an engineer to do it, plus travel time. He works for $34. So that saves us a lot of money on everything, the Cloverdale, Long Lake gauges, all the Crooked Lake gauges, all the way over to Floria. That's just smarter, not harder. We did have the structure on Floria that was leaking. Actually, the culvert under the road. Steel culverts don't typically match up well. Even though it was 10 feet in the ground, it was still leaking. And we had to have Cordis dig that up. They did some work out to Algonquin Lake Dam to get that up to speed, so the engineer report said there were certain things to be done, and they came in and got that done, so we're square on that. Same thing on Podunk Lake Dam. The engineer's requirements and the dam safety unit have their requirements, and so we've got both of them dams up to snuff. So Shallow Lake and Wall Lake, the water was down considerably, so we was able to dip out about 500 feet of the Wall Lake channel from the dam going up. We didn't go out to the lake itself because I don't have big enough equipment to get our equipment up if we sink in that swamp. It is slated to be done this year, but we've had a real problem because the gas line company that marks the gas lines wouldn't walk in water. So Wes ended up building them a little dock all the way out to the edge of the water so they can tell us where the gas line is. The sewer authority doesn't have any tracking wire, so we don't know where that sewer line is. That becomes a problem. We don't want to be in the news for hitting that sewer in a channel. So we're still working through that. We did partner up with Robert Rose and Ionia on the Allerding. We had probably 15 acres underwater up on Jim Steele's property on North Vetter. Water. In the past, someone had opened up the tile 150 feet south of Vetter, and they just put a tube up, and they just gave up on the old tile, and it just wasn't working well. Jim's was flooded out up there, so we did our section up to Vetter Road. The road commission came in and put us in a new culvert underneath the road because I showed them where evidently the last time they replaced it, they ripped our tile out. And then Robert and Buck Garland went and did the stuff on the upstream side, and that is all nice and dry. They can actually start farming that field again. Henny Williams, we got on it. Like I mentioned, we did get an agreement with DEQ. It costs the drain office $10,000 in fines because there's a disconnect between what the drain code says and what the DEQ says they can regulate, and they don't. They're a challenge to work with. John knows. We did Pine Lake, we did clear the culvert down there, which doesn't really amount to much, but according to the judge's order, we're supposed to keep a culvert under Oak Drive clear, even though we have no easements. That's the problem when you go through courts. They mandate something, but they don't give you the rights to do what you need to do, and it makes it kind of tough. Most of the stuff is pretty normal, what we do. and I'm not going to read through everything. We did do quite a bit of work. The Thornapple Drain 1, they did finish that up, and we had a day of review on that. We cleaned the Whitty ditch that ran along Thornapple Lake because we'd had complaints for years. So a lot of the stuff, we got 100-year-old drains that have had no maintenance, and everything is, an uphill fight. So, but all that good stuff is in there. And I want to get to the best part of the whole report. Down in Delton, the never-ending gift that keeps giving, we did get our structure on Floria Road. We got sued by the Crooked Lake people for flooding them out back in 18 by opening the culvert under Floria Road, which we won after $200,000 worth of wasted money to prove to them that a 100-acre lake with 1 foot drawdown cannot flood out an 1,800-acre lake at 5 feet. I mean, it's just impossible, but that's what their suit was. But to make sure we didn't get in trouble, when we put the culvert in on Floria, we'd put a steel plate on the end with a little bitty hole in it. Legally, our drain worked. Didn't let much water out, but it was legal. We put it in, no erosion, no flooding, and because there's a 750-acre wetland that we were hoping DEQ didn't get after us for. Legally, we have the right to do it, but as you know, DEQ has their own thoughts. We did get a permit after our permit expired for this plate. It expired in 23. We started to get our lake structure permit in 22. We finally got our permit in late 24. And Ross Jackson put that in, and that sets the lake level for them. And I believe we have our court-ordered lake level on that. All the work, our big projects were right down here where it comes out of Pleasant in the mud, into our Floria Road crossing, down through Whitty Ditch, and into Crooked Lake proper. This is what we had to, after we put our first steel plate in and after the lawsuit, DEQ said, well, actually, that steel plate you needed a permit for. So then they made us get a permit, and we took the plate out and put another plate just like it back in, but that was permitted. That was okay. And DEQ wrote it, and Audrey said she did not like to have to do it that way. It said to be operated at the Drain Commissioner's discretion. That way, if the people were flooded on Pleasant Lake, it's our fault, and if we open it up and the people on Crooked Lake were flooded, it was still our fault. It was a very, very sweet way of getting around it, and she apologized for having to write it that way, but they don't want any liability. So that's what it looked like when we had our DEQ permit and the plates that we put on it, and it had a little slide gate on it. It was real cute. And then when we got done, Ross took that out and he put in our new structure, which looks like that. It's got an intake down here. It's got an overflow on top, has riprap around it. It's got a cover so we can inspect it. It's aluminum and it's locked, so nobody can screw with it. And this is from the down thing. Now, a few months after we installed it, they did that in January, I think. We had complaints from people that the lake was down and it was all because that culvert was leaking. So we looked at a lot of different things. We thought it was groundwater. We weren't sure. We actually crawled up in the culvert, and you could see it bubbling. Not much, but a little bit. So finally, we couldn't find a good solution where you mesh steel culverts together, you put a band on it, but it's not a watertight fit. It just can't be done that way. So Ron Cordes come down, his guys, dug up the road, built forms all the way around, wrapped it with hydraulic cement all the way up to the thing, and then, just to rag on me, they put my name on it and the year it was done. They have a good sense of humor. But it is there, it's sealed, there's no water going through it, and I'm hoping Mud and Pleasant Lake are at least up to our legal lake level with all the flooding and water we had. Now, the bigger thing is the Watson Crossing. This is what it looked like upstream. This is where DEQ got after MDOT. Because MDOT, we originally started to change that culvert. The plans were started in 18. A year later, MDOT said, we're going to take care of it. We said, okay, that's your choice. It's your road. You have the legal right to do it. You don't get my exemption. Fast forward six years of MDOT hydrology and all this stuff. They came up with an 8x14 concrete box that they're going to set in the middle of a swamp with a deficiency where they dig out the mud and they let the dirt slide in, and it's quite a complicated project. They expected that to be $2.3 million. We get to DEQ in September of last year, and DEQ said, okay, you got to put a sheet piling across the front of it to protect these wetlands. And I said, you're not doing that. That's my drain. You can't be above the historic grade because legally I have to be able to dig that out, and I can't dig through sheet piling. So then they said, well, we're not going to do that. And then DEQ said, well, tell you what, you put the culvert in, we believe it'll have 100 acres of wetland impact. You will pay us $100,000 an acre for every one of them. And, of course, MDOT said, well, we're not going to do that. 3 days later, we got the call and said, here, it's yours. That was September of last year. Oh, by the way, we're retarmacking the road next summer, so you have to have this done by June. Oh, that's nice. So the engineers got all the plans together. What we found out was that there was an agreement with MDOT, John Ball Zoo, Western Michigan University, and Pierce Cedar Creek that it has to be a turtle crossing. Turtles will not swim through a culvert. Oh, well, that's nice. So we reached out to Jim Harbaugh at Northern Concrete and said, hey, we got to be able to put rock inside this thing, and it's 60 feet long. We can't very well hand carry it. He actually designed a C-channel culvert with a removable top so you could put all the rock in with an excavator from the outside. Pretty fancy. He gave me a really good deal on it. This is what it looked like as it went in. It had to have thickened bottom and supports vertically to hold them walls in. They started building it. They got all the way through it. You can see all the pretty pictures that the engineer took as they got this thing done. They were actually able to put the dirt in without the top on. I love to see these. There's the first portions of Turtle Rock that they wanted in there, which, it's a cute theory. It just seemed like a lot of money wasted. But, hey, we do what we're mandated by MDOT. They did the whole thing, put the top on. They found out, even though the soil boring said that it was all gravel, when they were digging it out, it kept sloughing in. So we ended up having to get Chad from DeWind Dewatering to come down and dewater it for a week. They had to wrap it with a plastic over the top so it wouldn't leak. I know, that doesn't make sense. But they did it. They did everything that was mandated, got it all tarmacked in. So the turtles can walk across the sides and get from one side to the other. The whole reason of this is they have been monitoring that crossing for a number of years. It is the highest mortality rate of any road in the state. And they said they've had up to 85 turtles run over in a day there when they go out there and check and see. Interesting, but that's what they wanted. So when they got all done, we got water, we got the old culvert out, everything's working. We had quite an upheaval from the Delton people because they thought the town would just dry up and blow away. We slated it for 6 weeks to get it done. J.B. Sebastian got it, the contract on it. He did it in 3. We had the road closed and opened back up 3 weeks later. We beat the tarmac company. We got it all in. And oh, by the way, halfway through they said, we want another culvert in there, another turtle crossing, which he got it done in the same 3 weeks. And this one doesn't convey any water because it's above the ordinary high water mark. So, yeah, pretty interesting project all the way through. It's a neat theory, but it is what it is. And then MDOT, because we changed the size of the culvert under M43, they agreed to pay for a new culvert under Sprague Road that originally had been done about 10, 12, 14 years ago, and it was stepped up 2 feet higher than it was supposed to be. So they actually put us in a brand new one down there also. So Sprague Road's got a brand new one. MDOT's got a brand new one. MDOT paid 100% of it. All that work. We got the culvert replaced. They slated $2.3 million. We got it done for $430,000. And then, what I forgot to mention is when we first started doing this, we found out that the Southwest Sewer Authority pipe was in the drain. We literally had to lower it 5 feet. Now, that's a 12-inch pressure main. We had to bore a new pipe. We reached out to the Sewer Authority. Of course, they ain't got the kind of money, to do something like that. We were first in time from 1899, so we knew that. Jim Davis from MDOT stepped up and said, as long as it don't slow down our project, we will pay for it. And they did. And that, I was amazed, but we got it done. So that was, I hope, the last of the work that we have to do down in that area. We did submit this to see if we could get an award for it. We got honorable mention. The two that won, one of them was in Ingham County for a price tag of $50 million. The other one was at the Bowman Drain in Allegan at $1.2 million. So evidently, we just don't spend enough money to get an award on that. So, but that is the gist of what we've been doing. So, and by the way, the picture at the beginning was because of the engineers being smartasses, and the fact that we found somebody on Facebook, or a number of them, have raised me up to being Lord Jim Turtle King, and now that's my job. You got to have a little humor in this job for people and their thought processes, but anyway, so that's what we've been doing.
Are they monitoring this to determine how many turtles are smart enough to use the turtles to go across the road?
Well, that leads to the next step. We are mandated to put turtle fencing in now. It is going to run along the side of M43 for 1,600 feet. It's 4-foot tall plastic, and we're putting fence posts in, the plastic in that has to be buried 8 inches deep, box fencing to secure it to, and it has little loops on both ends to make sure the turtles don't go out, and they're supposed to turn around and come back in. And we should be doing that in the next couple weeks, which we're trying to do it, and it's the gift that keeps giving. But
is MDOT paying for that?
They're paying 100% on it. And we even went into, okay, who's going to take care of it when somebody drives off the road and smashes it down? And they said they will take care of it in the future also. Originally, we were going to put it on the shoulder of the road, and I said, as soon as the snowplows hit that, it's going to be gone. So we took Megan Sulcott from DEQ out there and said, look, we would like a permit to put it out here in 20 feet off the road in the edge of the wetlands. We're setting it that much higher than the ordinary water mark so that they can give us a permit to do it. So it's quite in depth, and but I thought it was cute that I got elevated to Turtle King.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. How much did accommodating the turtles cost?
we didn't figure anything in for it. They said we had to do it, and like I say, we got the whole project done for $430,000, and they planned on $2.3 million, and that wasn't with the second crossing. So I don't know as it cost a lot. Jim Washabaugh, that created that the culvert, I didn't even know if they could make a removable top for that, but he did. And that was the key to it. The stone is minimal. The contractor, of course, it's a lot of work to set all them structures this way and then get the one sealed on and then the wrap over the top and all that stuff. But it probably cost, we might have had $5,000 in stone. So it wasn't much, but it's just such an inconvenience. I mean, they're used to popping that stuff in and being done, and it was a very intense project for them to have to do.
Is there a point in time where you can observe the actual, the turtles are actually using what they're supposed to use? Or
We don't, they did talk about putting little cameras in there, but I don't believe they will go through the big culvert for the simple fact that the rock is pretty good size in there. It has to be a certain size when the water's coming through, not to wash away. But the other one, I believe, will get a lot of use out of that little one 600 feet south, because well, you can see right where the wetland comes up, and they found more mortality there than anywhere else. So, but and I know Pierce Cedar Creek is going to go down there and keep monitoring it for the next couple of years, because we want to know if it helps. So, but it's a stretch for the drain office to have, we're primarily to take care of the farmers and keep the water running. So, but any questions, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think maybe we're onto something with this fencing for directional.
Yeah.
Possibly we could start fencing maybe half a mile down the road from each deer crossing, and that way we could get the deer to cross in the proper place, and maybe the raccoons and the possums could have their fences. Just an idea.
I wouldn't open that can of worms, because I was being a smart ass way back when, and I said, well, why don't we do that? And they said, out west, they build bridges for like the elk or whatever to go through.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh my God, they just...
Bridges.
Big bridges?
Run a highway.
So, yeah.
It was like the old joke where somebody hit a deer and they said, well, why doesn't the county move the deer crossing sign to the right place?
Well, and that's what we were going to do, is just put up turtle crossings, but move them for, and I get it. I mean, they're on that idea, so, but... It just, give us all these parameters after they've dicked around with it for 6 years, and then say, oh, wait a minute, we can't meet DEQ requirements, so here you go. And by the way, 6 months from now, you got to be done. It's like, you got 6 years, we got 6 months, but it's nothing unusual. We've had a number of there in Cloverdale where the road was flooded, and they put up water bags on the side and did all sorts of stuff to keep the water down. And once we got done with the Cloverdale petition, we actually got a crossing there. You notice that never has water across the road anymore. And it is part of the drain projects, but it just... And it's nice when MDOT's willing to step up and give us the money to do all this stuff. But, so...
Well, it's all said and done. Good job, got it done, and you brought it in way under the cost.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we reached out to them, said, just get out of our way. This is what we do, is we fix these, and we fix them as cheap as not cheap, but inexpensive as we can, because we're thinking taxpayers got to pay for this stuff. So, but anyway, any other questions?
Additional questions from commissioners? Well, we'll see what happens. I, too, would love to see the turtle cam and see how they're getting, because I'm skeptical. I've driven that quite a bit. I haven't seen the mortality that they're talking about. 85 is quite a stampede of turtles going across the road. So
Yeah.
there's quite a swamp there, but
Oh, yeah, swamp on both sides, but,
there's a hearing center everywhere, I guess, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know.
so,
Thank you.
anyway, yep. Have fun. Thanks, guys. And ma'am? And ma'am?
Okay, before we continue, we are going to take about a 5 to 7 minute recess, so the board is on break.
County Attorney King is the new deputy. She'll be joining us for closed session. Just go with the county for a while. Just go with the county for a while. In the report center. I don't know the He does a lot, and they have other attorneys that send them back. Oh, good Lord. It's been on a tough one yeah, it's better.
John actually showed up.
Oh, it's right here.
I decreased.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth too. Depending on like the job, and really trying to first get paid at all counties. We're trying to get a lot of back and forth. That's when we go, Matt.
I don't think I got
We have 4 offices in Woolworth. If I update the database of one platform, so that's the phase we're in right now. We're not looking
Good morning, everyone. Jeff Kiesler from Planning and Zoning. Just wanted to talk about some of our 2025 highlights with you. You should have received something that looks like this in your packet, and I'm just going to kind of walk through that and then take questions from you all. So we did a little bit of a kind of a 3-year analysis to see where we're at, and then, really compared like 2024 and 2025. Total permits are down. In 2023, we had about 1,500 permits. Last year, about 1,000, and in 2024, about 1,000, and then 2025, 934. So that's a 38% decrease in the total number of permits, and we'll talk about in just a minute about what that means. So single-family detached, we had slightly fewer in 2015 than we did in 2024. However, residential remodels there's an increase in those. Same thing with commercial buildings. Really didn't increase the number of new builds, but we did have an increase in the number of remodels and alterations. So total construction value, and this is kind of where we'll get into a little bit of a more of a detailed look. We had a $161,530,000 worth of total construction value in the county in 2025. So this would be the highest value that we've had in the 3 years that we're kind of looking at here, despite fewer permits, 38% decrease. So that's sort of our reality that we're all living right now. Things are more expensive. Housing is no exception. Materials are no exception. We are seeing fewer permits. We're seeing more expensive projects. Just because the cost is up. So that's why also I would say we're seeing more remodels than we are new builds, an increase in those. Highest total values, Hastings around 31 million, Middleville around 41 million, Hastings Township 10 million, Yankee Springs 12.5 million. So still a lot of development going on in some of the key areas. Point 4, I'm going to let PCI talk about that in their review. And then, just kind of continuing on, soil erosion and sedimentation control, 226 permits issued for the year. Our highest areas are going to be the areas where there are lake shores. We're required to do soil erosion permit if something is within 500 feet of a body of water. So naturally, the lake areas are going to have more of those. We did 79 land divisions, and these are kind of spread out around the county in different areas and for different reasons. A lot of folks are, dividing their land to sell or give to their children, and then we also are starting to see a little bit of an increase in divisions for what I call a rural cul-de-sac, your private road with 5 to 7 homes. We're starting to see that more often. Requests for that kind of thing. We're also the addressing agency for the county, so we issued 265 new addresses for the year. Biggest areas are, again, the biggest areas where we're seeing the growth: Yankee Springs, Irving, Thornapple, and then also in the village of Nashville, and that would have been with the new the school, the Kellogg School rebuild. So, complaints for the Code Enforcement Department. We handled a total of 104 complaints in 2025. Townships with the most complaints would be Baltimore, Irving, and Orangeville. Those are typically tend to be my neighbor's fence is too close, or there's too many cars in the driveway, that kind of thing. So meetings and approvals, we were busy. We had 16 total special use permit requests. We approved 14 of those. Site plan reviews, we had 5 requested and 5 approved. Rezonings, 2 requested, 2 approved, and variances, 8 requested and 8 approved. Shows we have a note here that shows, that indicates that people are well prepared with their applications. We do a lot of kind of pre-work with people, long phone calls, lots of answers, call us back, email, that kind of stuff. Getting good permits, getting good projects is important to us. And so we want to, if we see something that looks like a red flag early on or in discussion, we're going to kind of try to call that out and see if we can get that changed before they actually submit. I'd like to think that's the reason why they are all getting requested and approved, and hopefully that's the case. Jumping down to point 8, key trends and observations. So again, permit volume is down. Project value is very high. So projects are costing more, and we're having also bigger projects in the county. Residential remodels are increasing, indicating that reinvestment in existing housing stock is important to people. And commercial remodels and new builds remain about the same or steady. So then one other point to add, we have had some early discussions with the Health Department and PCI, and just about how we are doing our permitting. The 3 different agencies sort of coordinating, communicating together, working together so that we're not duplicating services, so that we're not, finding the same person 3 different ways for the same thing. And that's been really good. So early discussions on that. And then last but not least, we are working on a zoning ordinance update for the first time since 2008. And that's really exciting. We've had some great feedback from a lot of different people on that, and looking to get some more. But the timeline, the ideal timeline would be that McKenna is doing their edits and redraft right now. We would get that back to us by about the end of this month. That goes to the Planning Commission, and they would have about a month to kind of review that and look over that. And we're hoping that we can get an approval from the Planning Commission at the June meeting, and then that would be on the agenda for July for you all to consider and potentially adopt. So that's kind of how that's working out. We're on time with our timeline. We haven't had to push anything back. We're looking really good on that and getting lots of good feedback. So that's all I have. Any questions from you all?
Questions from you? Ready?
A lot of high-density development going on, certainly in Middleville. Is that was not reflected in the 2025?
So this would be our county jurisdiction. So Middleville being a separate jurisdiction, they would have their own, like Midvilla would be.
Right.
Yep.
So that would be reflected later.
Correct.
But there's certainly, while permits are down maybe in the county jurisdiction, it's important to realize that in our municipalities that are doing their own permitting, those are certainly increasing.
Correct, they are, yeah.
And we'll probably see that in some other reports.
Yep, good point.
I just want to give Jeff a lot of credit because both with the changes in the code and the way we've introduced those around the county to all the townships and municipalities, groups. But even beyond that, I think we, planning and zoning, have been more visible throughout the county, and I think that's really paying dividends with the working relationship that we have with a lot of those entities. So, well done.
Thank you, thank you.
As long as Johnstown's happy, they were the ones that had a lot of complaints earlier. Are they on the wagon?
The biggest ones was their commissioner, of course. Not really. Hey, Jeff, on that, when we have the 104 open complaints, is that inclusive of the new 75, or is that 75 on top of that?
So the 104, I may have misspoke when I read it, but that would be what is, that's the total. That's the total for the year. And then, yeah, we just added like the three top townships with the most complaints, but.
Then on 6 there, on the approval of the request and stuff, have any of those went on to the next step before they were approved, like the appeals board or anything, or, I'm just curious.
The variances would have gone in front of the ZBA, yep, and the rest would have been handled by the planning commission. Yep.
It appears like your efforts to inform people better about how to approach these things and stuff is paying off, so.
Yeah, thank you. That's
good to me.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Johnson?
Well, I wanted to comment on, I've talked to a lot of people who've gone in your office and they feel that you're very accommodating.
Good.
To help their situation and walk them through it and stuff like that. But to speak of the housing situation, I live it every day, right? I see what would you deem an affordable house anymore? And I think maybe the project that is going to be coming up on the north end of Hastings, where they're talking about more affordable housing now, is $350,000, $380,000 house. Is that affordable? No. It's affordable compared to $500,000-$600,000 that I figure these prints, and people are thinking they're going to build it for $400,000, and it's $100,000 to $150,000 more than what they can actually afford to build. So then they go back to the drawing board. Okay, so but they still have a family of 5 or 6 people, and they need a house to be able to accommodate them. It never happens. So that's why you're seeing this trend of a lot less builder permits, because a lot of people, and that's why you're seeing an increase on the remodel thing. So then they'll buy a older home, and then they'll take some money and, redo the kitchen, add a bedroom or add a bathroom in the basement or whatever they need to do to make it to where that's accommodating for their family, because they can't afford to build a new house. And I'm in the process of building a new house myself, so I understand the whole situation. So. And what Chairman Jackson built his house for, 6-7 years ago now?
18, yeah.
Would be probably at least $200,000 more than what he did then. So that's just the reality that we're all living in right now.
Yeah.
Additional questions?
I just wanted to make a comment, sort of echoing what Larry said. I did attend the session that Jeff did with that work group, and I also heard your presentation, I think, 3 or 4 times in all the districts, and you did an excellent job. Transparency was amazing. But that work group, they came up with some very good input that wasn't in there, and it was surprising to see, because I know McKenna and Jeff and everybody had poured over those documents, and yet this work group came up with questions and comments. So it was a good process.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be looking forward to seeing the final report when that's available. You're thinking July? June?
That's the hope, yep.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll get it to you guys hopefully about a month before, so you can have a chance to review. So.
Okay.
Would that be a red line report? Have the changes in there, highlighted or something?
It's a good question. I don't know if you could redline a report from 2008 to now, but it'll be good to see the highlights as far as the major changes to it.
Correct. A lot of it will be very similar, but yeah, there will be some
definite changes. Yeah.
I mean, there really were two objectives with the rewrite. One was to reorganize and make it a document that's much easier to understand and utilize.
Yep.
That doesn't necessarily have substantive changes in zoning. In addition to that, though, we also tried to update those zoning provisions that are outdated and need to be revised. But it's a combination of the two, but it means that you've got two documents that are not comparable. So I think it's something we can talk about, how we best help us understand it. And it may be, we put together a Cliff's Notes version.
There's an executive summary.
Executive summary of the changes and not intermix that with just the reorganization.
Yep.
We just all want to see where the data centers are going to go.
Yeah, that's...
Hopefully not in Johnstown Township. And that's being right frontage that's available. Lake frontage is a great place for data centers.
It'll warm the lake up, so warm the lake up.
Year round?
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff. Next up, Eric Thompson with PCI.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for having me in today. There's going to be some overlap between the numbers I'm going to share with you in Jeff's report, but I'll kind of dig in a little deeper to some of the more specific areas. As Jeff pointed out, $161.5 million was a record in construction value for Berry County this year. There was a reduction in permits to 934 from 1,002 last year. The electrical, plumbing, and mechanical, we call those trade permits, those stayed steady at 2,469, down slightly from last year at 2,558. Village of Middleville and City Hastings led the growth, and I think that was largely anchored in some pretty major commercial projects. And when we say commercial, that's more of just a classification. What the majority of those projects and those dollars went to was multifamily housing. So they are helping to address the housing shortage that we're seeing in the county. New home starts was down slightly from last year. I think a lot of that is, the value of building a home, the materials, and not only the labor. The labor is up significantly as well because there is a shortage of tradespeople in the industry. Builders, electricians, plumbing, mechanical people. Every contractor we talk to all has the same problem, is that they can't find good help and they can't get the apprentices to stay with them for very long. So there's an underlying issue with that as well, in that the demand of those professionals is strung thin, and they're charging premium rates right now to get on their schedules. So I think the cost of materials and the cost of labor is what is pushing that kind of slowdown. Interest rates is another big thing. I don't want to take too many economic guesses as to what's going on. It's not really my line of work, but I know that the increase in the interest rates in uncertain economic times, I think, was also a factor in the decline. So, Village of Middleville kind of led the way with $41.1 million. Bradford White's a big contributor to that. That's obviously a major manufacturing facility, and there's always work being done up there, and it's always at scale. So, that's the Village of Middleville usually comes out at the top of the list, and I think they're a big reason why. There was some interesting developments up there with the Midvilla project that was touched on, and there's been some other multifamily things going on there. So, Middleville is also helping to address the housing shortage in the area. Meadowstone, they put in some significant developments on Hastings and then here on Mill Street. That accounted for a lot of that influx of commercial activity in the city of Hastings area. Hastings has some developments that they're planning right now. I forget the total number of homes, but it's broken up into 3 different developments in the city, and those, I guess, are nearing completion and ready to begin having activity going on in there. Yankee Springs led the way with, outside the big commercial districts or the city centers with $12.5 million. That's an increase over in years past. Hastings Township, Orangeville Township, Thornapple Township, they all had good numbers and on par, even better than previous numbers. Carlton Township and Prairieville Township also got an honorable mention here. They had decade level highs last year, and that is largely a lot of residential development or redevelopment around the lakes. We're seeing trends for the last 5 to 10 years where the weekend house is now becoming a full-time residence out around the lakes. So we're seeing those get demoed and the bigger full-time residences go up. So that trend is continuing. So the composition of the commercial versus residential permits kind of reinforces the large project narrative that the big increase that we saw was due to these commercial projects, but I think underlying the residential, the accessory buildings, the remodels, the decks, the garages, the finished basements, that trend has continued, and I think that speaks highly about people investing or reinvesting into their property. We saw residential alterations grow to 110, accounting for 6.4 million, and that follows the trend that we've been noticing for the past few years. So, barring interest rate changes or broader economic conditions or an influx of tradespeople getting into it or a reduction in material pricing, I think we should see similar numbers. I wouldn't expect them to be quite as high, barring some of those major commercial projects coming into town, but the forecast for the year is solid. I know there is some commercial stuff being planned, I think we can expect to have another strong year, just maybe not as strong as what 25 was.
Okay.
Can I answer any questions for anybody?
Questions from commissioners?
Good report.
Thank you very much.
Just one comment I want to make. This is aside from you. You made some very good points. We're certainly seeing increases in construction costs due to both materials and labor. We're seeing interest rates are not as favorable, although by long-term historic standards, they're still pretty desirable. But those are things that are out of our control. One thing that is in our control, at least to some degree, are property taxes. And property taxes, particularly given the impact of homestead exemptions on primary residence, are a huge barrier to people making a decision to upgrade homes because they're going from a property that they've been in that's been capped to a property that is going to become uncapped before it falls under homestead exemption for them going forward. And that has a much larger impact on the cost of housing than typically interest rates would, as an example. So just something we need to be mindful of as we continue to watch property values escalate. But we realize the limitations that are imposed on those increases. We're not seeing the increase in property taxes either because they are under the exemption. The exemption is probably well conceived at the time, but the long-term impact of it ends up being pretty negative. Negative in terms of the taxing unit being limited in how much they enjoy an increase in property values, and certainly the negative impact that it locks people into their homes.
There's a lot of discussion around property taxes. We'll see if anything gets done.
Yeah.
It's a slow-moving vehicle.
Like those turtles.
Like the turtles.
Leave the turtles out of it.
Further questions, comments?
I guess, I'm not involved too much with these building permit things, but has it always been based on the value of the house, or did it used to be on square footage?
I can answer that. It's always been based on the valuation of the project. That's kind of the industry standard. That's what the state of Michigan uses. And so we kind of like to follow their lead on how we do things. And, the International Code Council, who's kind of the one that sets the standard and they work to develop the codes that are in place, that's the standard that they use as well. So it's always been valuation based.
We'll have some discussion in that further when we get down to that as our agenda item. Okay, hearing no further discussion, we'll move on for items to consideration. Items for consideration. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $3,881,159.79.
So moved.
Motion by Getty, support by Colton. Okay. Motion by Getty, support by Colton for approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $3,881,159.79. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call a roll?
Colton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smelter.
Aye.
Dennison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of claims in the amount of $63,090.41.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Smelker for approval of claims in the amount of $63,090.41. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smelter.
Aye.
Dennison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Colton.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Approval of Commissioner. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of Commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $232.
So moved.
Support Campbell.
Motion by Smelker, support by Campbell for approval of Commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $232. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Getty.
Aye.
Smelter.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Colton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Item D, the chair will entertain a motion for approval of renewal of the agreement with Professional Code Inspections of Michigan to provide state construction code services in Berry County, including administration and enforcement of all 4 state of Michigan construction codes, and adopt a current fee schedule as part of the contract for 10 years effective August 1st, 2026. Who would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Support. Motion by Bassett, support by Hatfield. Gentlemen.
Yes. I just want to say we work with PCI for our building department here in the county, and I could not say enough good things about them. They, to me, they might as well be in the next room over. They're very responsive. They know things that we don't know, and they're very helpful all the time. We have a great relationship with them, and again, I have no negatives to say about them. So, yeah, I think we are hopefully seeking approval of the contract and then a resolution to adopt the new fees that they have outlined. They have not changed their fees since 2006, 20 years ago, so it's time for that. So.
I don't think there's any disagreement that we like PCI, that they've done a good job. The reports are good with them coming in. They work well with our county. I think the question is, with the new contract and the fees, how we arrived at that. Granted, it's been 20 years. So I guess my question was, looking at it, you build a 2,500 square foot home in the country versus building a 1,500 square foot home on Gun Lake that maybe is $1.2 million. So you're building a smaller house, but you're paying a whole lot more because you're doing it on the value based on if it's the same size of house, why wouldn't it be? It doesn't cost you any more to do an inspection on the same type of a house in one place or the other. Why are the fees going to be so dramatically different?
Well, a lot of times, when you see a higher value home, it's going to be more complex in the methods and the design and the styles in which it's going to be built. So it does take more time in the initial plan review, on the on-site inspections, to make sure that it's being done in accordance with the design plans. So there is some there's a degree of complexity that's different from the low end to the high end, and it's to address that, the additional time and effort that are put into it.
Yeah, and usually, I guess I'm used to seeing, I don't know about my fellow commissioners, I'm used to seeing red line versions of saying, okay, this is what it cost me to build a 1,500 square foot house. Currently, this is what it's going to cost you to build a 1,500 square foot house today based on the current price increase or the current fee schedule. But it doesn't look like that was provided unless I missed it.
There was a table in the proposal that gives a valuation-based side-to-side comparison on. It's towards the end of the proposal. Yeah, on second to last page.
I'm just looking at the page, labeled building permit fees, and kind of builds off of the chairman's question. Second paragraph says the ICC valuation method is a nationally recognized standard that assigns a prescriptive cost per square foot value. So they start out with a cost per square foot, which is something that's very easy to determine. 2,400 square feet. But then they apply a valuation or a cost methodology to that, which to me seems to be much more arbitrary. You're saying a more complex house is going to be more costly to supervise, to inspect, but how many different categories of construction are there?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of different categories of construction and construction types.
Yeah. I don't want to get into detail on that, only to say that seems to become somewhat arbitrary.
Okay.
So you're taking a definite number and multiplying at times a somewhat arbitrary number to come up to the number that you're going to work off of. It just, if it's the national standard, I guess it's the national standard, and there's some value in doing that, but it seems to be I'm troubled by the arbitrariness of that factor. I'm also troubled because then you insert also the variable of, we'll take their number. And we all know that is subject to a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
So why can't we just have a fee schedule based on a cost per square footage that's pretty easy to determine?
Then that's certainly something that we can consider if that's the commission's request. We try to use the valuation that's provided to us by the permit applicant whenever we can. But as you know, just the way the nature of people are, they're going to come in and they're going to say they're building a 3,000 square foot home for $100,000. And it's in those situations where we don't feel like they provided us a realistic, accurate figure of the cost to build that home, where we revert to using the ICC table. Okay, and I will admit that our guys do not use the table to the penny. We look at what's prescribed, and we usually knock 25% off of that. And what we're trying to do is come up with a realistic value to base their permit fee on. Not the maximum value, not the bottom of the barrel, just something that's realistic. And like I said, we try to use the number that's provided to us by the applicant, and in every case we can. It's only in those cases where we can't that we go to the ICC table.
And I appreciate that. I guess it just reinforces my concern that we end up basing it on something that's got a fairly significant arbitrary factor in it as opposed to something that's easily determined, which is square footage.
Okay, I completely understand that position. I think the biggest reason why we're doing this is this is the industry standard method of doing it in the state of Michigan. All the surrounding communities are using this same methodology. The state of Michigan, who's obviously the ones writing the rules, use this methodology, and so we've followed suit to stay consistent with surrounding communities and the example that's put before us by the state.
So to the chairman's point, and Commissioner Hatfield, so does location have something to do with this? So in other words, the chairman's point, you build a 1,500 square foot house right here in Hastings Charter Township, that's worth, say, $400,000. Okay, but like to his point, you build it on Gun Lake, it's worth $1.2 million.
Right, so we're not including land values in the valuation of the project. We're not including land values, wells, septic, all that. It's the cost to build the building.
Okay, so there's that's not.
Yep. No, we're looking just at the structure, not at what the MLS listing might be.
Okay.
Good information. Commissioner Gett?
I appreciate the fact that the fees haven't gone up in 20 years, and that represents for some of these fees, it is a really high percentage. I would much prefer a step increase than a giant catch-up game.
Okay.
Which really, we talk about affordability of houses. Well, when a deck permit increases by almost 40%, I mean, that adds significant cost that people are going to be shocked, and I think appropriately so.
Okay.
And I think a more modest, every couple of years look at cost of living kind of.
Yeah, these were designed with being another long-term solution in place, but if it's the commission's position that they'd rather us visit this every few years and do a smaller increase up front, I would not be opposed to going that direction.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would not make a habit of this, but I do agree with Catherine on this. Listen, it all looks well and good. Run into a similar thing at the health department, that we put off increasing in increments. And then all of a sudden we get to a point, oh my gosh, we got to increase. And then we try to catch up the whole shebang at one swoop. So I think the failure is that we did not do it in increments, and this one looks so overwhelming to us right now. So I hope in the future we can work with something that stays incremental, even though we hate to put it out there ever. We don't want to be the bad guys, but now we're really the bad guys if we take this leap, this huge leap.
Commissioners, thank you for your time. My name is Kirk Sharphorn. Work with we're business partners here. One of the things that's changed in the industry a lot for us, on our standpoint, is we call it the talent pool. There's just the days of our two dads when they started this company. My dad is the only guy in the state of Michigan, my father, that had all 4 licenses. So he could do building, electric, plumbing, mechanical. He could go out and do one job, do it all. Eric's dad had 3. The days of the state have made these conditions so hard. You are now looking at single licensed guys. So we're almost having to double our staff. And we have, used to be dual licensed plumbing, mechanical guys. You could get guys that had both licenses. So it was more affordable. Well, now when you're covering staff, obviously, and they're limited, you look at the state of Michigan has made the criteria so high to obtain your mechanical license. There was literally in the single digits of new applicants for mechanical inspectors last year across the whole state because guys don't have the certifications to get it. Even guys that have owned businesses for 20, 30 years, we can't get them certified to be a licensed inspector standard per the state of Michigan. So we're having to, what that does for us as well is part of this fee increases is we're having to pay more to our employees, our staff members, things along those lines, insurances, all that stuff goes up. But in order to create a job where they can do this, we're seeing huge increases in what we have to offer our staff, in order to keep the best, what we feel is the best people around to provide the great service. So these are just little things that you don't always see that are in, but with the state making these criteria so much harder, there are very limited dual licensed people anymore, like there used to be. You used to be able to get grandfathered in, and you could do certain things and then grandfathered in. Those days are limited or gone now. So you're looking at, instead of having 2 guys or 3 guys could do a whole house, you're now sending 4 individuals out there, all the way through the process. So you got your gas, everything that goes into that. That's part of the fee increases and why we're doing this as well. So, and then on the square footage part of it as well, a lot of the contractors that you're going to see that's building the $1.2 million home on Gun Lake is charging a lot higher rate per square footage than the guy that might be building a house in the country. It depends on the builder. As we all know, there's good builders, there's bad builders, there's good contractors. They all charge a different rate as to what that is, price per square footage. You could find somebody to build your house for $100 a square foot. The next guy might be at $200, $220 a square foot, and then the ICC book, it's you're getting different comparisons depending on the builder that you pick to do your project as well. That changes a lot of things. So thank you for your time again. Appreciate you all.
One thing I want to point out on the page that's the example permit fee impacts by type. You can see a page number
89.
It's the back of the 5th page. I'm sorry to tell you your math is
Well, that's embarrassing.
Deck system, current fee 130, proposed fee 280. That's a 60% increase, not a 37.5% increase.
Okay.
In-ground pool, 290 to 408. That's a 40% increase.
It's even worse than we thought.
There must have been an error in my Excel formula. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I think you were dividing by the proposed fee instead of the current fee. So your increase is a percentage of the proposed fee, not a percentage of the current fee.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, but you just can't deal with a retired banker.
You're not going to get that back.
Doesn't sound like you're retired.
This contract that you're proposing is 10 years, or is it 5?
I submitted it as 5. I saw on the agenda that it was 10. We'll take 10 if you guys like us that much, but 5 is fine. Fine is historically what it's been.
So commissioners, what's the feeling on this? Do we need to table this and come back and review it in a couple weeks and take a look at maybe a couple different proposals? I don't mind the 5-year, but maybe stair-stepping it, or we can look at a 10-year also. But the last one you said, the last one was 10 years, wasn't it?
It was 20 years.
20 years.
The last fee schedule was adopted in 2006.
And again, it's not a matter of whether we like PCI and they're doing a good job. That's not the issue. It's just how we address the contract fees and keep you guys healthy where we're going and find that middle ground that continues to work towards the end goal here. So.
If the commission would the contract previous was 5 years, so we've been doing these every 5 years. If it's your desire, I can work with Eric and make sure we come up with a couple different proposals for you to consider that has more red line approach and covers from what I've heard from you today.
That'd be great. I don't want to delay this if I can get it approved next meeting.
We still have time. The contract technically renews in August, but I wanted to get this out of the way. But I can work to make sure we get it on the 26th agenda.
Okay. Is that agreeable with everybody? Okay, there was a motion on the floor, and did I write down who made that motion? So we need Do they withdraw that motion, or you're going to postpone?
I'll withdraw the support.
Okay.
Yeah, if they withdraw the motion, don't take action on it, and we'll just bring it back at your next meeting.
Bassett made the motion, Hatfield. Okay. All right, we will do that.
Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate the information. Next on our agenda, waiting so patiently back here for us, is Michelle.
Okay, speaking of property taxes. You ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, so on today's agenda, it's just the L4029 tax rate request. It's a form that's required to be sent to the local treasurers. It gives them the authorization to actually collect the property taxes on our behalf. This is just for the county. This is just the county's levy. Each taxing authority does their own L4029 tax rate, and then in October, I'll come and present the summary of all of those together in the apportionment report. But the maximum allowable basically is calculated based on what was already approved at our previous budget, and then I came in and reduced those millages because of the millage reduction fraction. So this is the result of what we are able to collect.
Perfect. Any questions? We do this every year. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of the 2026 L429 tax rate request for the levy of property taxes to be signed by the chairperson and clerk. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison for approval of the 2026 L429 tax rate request for the levy of property taxes to be signed by the chairperson and clerk. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Getty? Aye. Smelter?
Aye.
Tennyson?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, elected official salary. We addressed some of this last meeting, and there was a few that we didn't have on that particular one, so this just finalizes the rest of the chief deputy salaries. So if there's no questions on this, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the 2026 elected official and chief deputy salaries.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Tunison, support by Hatfield to approve the 2026 elected and chief deputy salaries. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm not against bringing them salaries up with everybody else, but I want to see it on the budget in front of me and see how much it is, how much it costs for our union negotiations and the whole works, and to see where it's coming from.
I think it's a budget amendment that we'll be doing in our next meeting.
What are the next two meetings?
One of the next two meetings, we'll walk through some of the details.
Yes, there are very few of these on here, so that's why I didn't do the full blown out comparison, but they would be put into the budget amendment, which would be approved maybe the 26th, although we just added this, so it may be the first June meeting too. One of those two meetings we're going through and doing all the updates for the year and all the difference in people who've taken insurance and who haven't taken insurance and all those little things that need to be done every year, so.
Not significant increase.
No, this is 3% over what they were making, what they have been making to date.
Because we already gave them the 3%, so this is a 3%
Yes.
match. What the other contract.
That is correct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So the only budget amendment will be for 26.
Yeah,
You'll build everything else into the
this
next
is
year's budget.
Yes, so elected officials, we handle on an annual basis, unlike our union and our non-represented employees, which we usually set scales for 3 years. So, come your budget process this year, in your resolution, you'll set elected official pay, chief deputy pay.
Okay. Additional questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Carlson?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Smelter?
Nay.
Tennyson?
Aye.
Bassett?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
And Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved. Commissioner Smelker, would you read our motion to go into closed session?
I move to go into closed session in accordance with Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, 15.268, Section 8C, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiations of a collective bargaining agreement.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Hatfield to go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Public 267 of 1976, 15.268, Section 8C, for strategy negotiations connected with negotiations of collective bargaining agreement. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Campbell?
Aye.
Getty?
Aye.
Smoker?
Aye.
Studison?
Aye.
Bassett?
Aye.
Carlton?
Aye.
Hatfield? Jackson?
Aye. The motion is approved. The board will stand at recess until we get back out of closed session.
We'll be downstairs.
Downstairs. emergency closed session meeting. With that, the chair would entertain a motion to ratify the union pre-ratified proposal dated April 20, 2026 with the Police Officers Labor Council, Deputy Sheriff's Unit for Berry County, and authorize the board chair to sign the successor and collective bargaining agreements upon approval as to form by the county attorney. So moved. Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison, to ratify the union pre-ratified proposal dated April 20, 2026 with the Police Officers Labor Council Deputy Sheriff's Unit for Berry County, and authorize the board chair to sign the successor collective bargaining agreement upon approval as to form by the county attorney. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Getty. Aye. Smoker.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Halton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Thank you, board. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
I'll make this quick. Two things. First, I want to thank you for ending the very long labor negotiation process. Thank Commissioner Smelker for all of his time on that effort. I think they always say if neither side's entirely happy when the process is ended, that's probably a good thing. So
Happy that it's over.
happy that it's over. I think we're all happy that it's over. Last thing for you is May 29th, 1 to 3:30, out at 911. They will be having a reception for Stephanie Lehman. So if you're able to make it, we can't make it. We're busy. Please stop out, see, join in, well wishes. She'll be a big loss. She is a big loss to the county. We're looking forward to working with Kitty Hall on continuing that relationship with 911, but I emailed you all the invites from 911 on that, so.
And then the 15th,
So this Friday, May 15th, county is closed. I've mentioned several times in the last year that we would be closing for a day to do training. And I think I mentioned earlier this year, I didn't give you the exact date, but we have active shooting, active assailant training in the morning. We have de-escalation technique, stop the bleed, and first aid, and then avoiding burnout is the last session of the day. So we'll be, it's all core campus employees who are involved. Sheriff's Department sending somebody, Commission on Aging sending a couple, Thornapple sending a couple, Transit sending somebody. So it's training that we really need everyone together at one point, so it's impractical for us to do it in sessions. So we really need everyone together on one page, especially on the active assailant, hence the need to shut the offices down. It's one day. The courts have been putting out information for a while. We put out something in the paper this week. You saw it in the banner and reminder. We have signs all over the place as you walk around, so hopefully everyone will see. Obviously, we'll have people probably still show up, and we'll address it as that happens. But I anticipate, our goal is to continue doing training for our employees. We're looking at opportunities to bring people here rather than sending everybody across the state to do the training. I think it's more cost effective that way. Yeah, I think it's more effective to get everyone working together. We have a lot of new faces of the county, and getting everybody in one room, get to know their people. One thing we did is we split them into two groups for the afternoon sessions, but we didn't let anyone go with their office. Just all planning goes this way, all clerk goes that way. We split them up, and we're making everybody work together. So hopefully it'll be a good day, but I would anticipate this happening annually. And we have a committee that's been working on it. Sarah, Julie Pratt, Daisy from the courts, Patrick Jansen's. Obviously, Patrick's doing a lot of their training stuff right now. Mashaya joined us. I know I'm missing somebody. Stephanie Lehman was on it until she decided she needs to move on. Anybody else I'm missing? Okay, and then we're going to look at offering an opportunity for non-union folks or union folks to come on board later this year to help input on the training. It's something I want to do, so just an FYI.
Was this brought before the board, seeing it was in advance so long?
Well, I notified you several times over the last year that we would be doing this, but to actually shut it down, I know I didn't bring it before the board. There's a policy that gives me the ability to close the building with consultation with the chief judge.
I'm not for that. I think something like this in advance should be brought before this board.
We can do that in the future. I just, from our perspective, getting this done was not feasible to do it separately, just having everyone on one page together. I think it'll be a good day for our staff.
Yes.
Mayor, so you brought up a little bit about those safety issues. So we talked about last fall about getting somebody to take a look at safety in the clerk's office and all this kind of stuff. So where are we on this?
Jeff Hall's been working with different groups on getting numbers to come in and do that. I have a meeting with him on Wednesday to see where he's at, but we've talked about it, getting 3 quotes in so we can make sure we meet our purchasing guidelines.
Yeah, can you get that to us?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a priority, and it's part of the whole facilities approach we're looking at, but Jeff has been working on that front.
All right.
With that, on some of this, is there anything in there about moving offices too?
It could be a consideration. There's not necessarily going to happen, but we want to, if we're looking at facilities, we want to look at facilities and making sure we're addressing our needs, addressing our buildings, what issues we have, what issues we don't have. But nothing is my perspective on things is I rarely just say no out of hand. Let's look at the issue. Let's explore what it means to us. Okay, here's the answer. Here's the recommendation to the commission at that point.
So somebody's going to have to move, though. If we're going to do a renovation in these offices, somebody's got to go so we can start on one, right?
Well, it depends.
Take the first floor, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 4 offices there, and they're all occupied. So somebody's got to go.
Well, I think, I put in a memo to you earlier this year about moving the planning and zoning department over to the old FOC, the now renamed county building.
Yeah, but it doesn't make more sense that planning and zoning would be up by Register of Deeds. Don't they interact a lot?
Not necessarily. Register of Deeds, they do some work, but it's from a proximity standpoint, a lot of times people, they're not coming in to do that and then hit Register of Deeds. That's one of the items. But some of the aspect of it is it may just be, hey, we need a day or two to shut down the office to make all the changes. How are we going to meet the needs of the public while we're shut down? So that's all part of the process that Jeff goes through, those continuity of efforts. Same thing if we have an elevator goes down, we still need to provide services. So how do we do that when that happens? And that's all part of the planning process.
Yeah, I know. See, I'm used to my world, right?
I know you. When you're in the private sector, real easy. Hey, boom, we're doing this. We still have to provide services. We will still provide services. It just takes a bit of time to go through all the planning. It doesn't move. It never moves as fast as we want it to. And also, if I'm bringing something to you for recommendation, I'm going to want to know I've looked at every aspect of it, because I hate coming up here and giving you something, one, I know you're not going to approve. 2, if we miss something, I don't want to come back after the fact and say, hey, we missed X, Y, and Z, so we need you to do this.
Okay. Additional questions? Thank you. Chairperson's report. I was at Hope Township last night. I'll be at Berry Township tonight and Rocking Township on Wednesday. Vice Chairperson's report.
At the city last night at meeting in Grand Rapids, which was related to workforce development the week before.
I attended Carlton last night. There was a lot of discussion, like I brought up previously, about the situation with the residents up on Better Road, so that's when we came up with that. Maybe some of us could get together with the farmer, so anyway, that's it.
Commissioner Campbell.
I visited Maple Grove last Wednesday, and tonight I'll go to Baltimore. Tomorrow I'll go down to Johnstown, and I think Friday we have a health department meeting.
Maybe, because I'm not going to be there. You might not have a quorum.
It's canceled. We won't have quorum. So the notice will be going out.
I just gave her the bad news.
And then I passed it on.
Commissioner Smoker.
Attended Thornapple Township and Freeport last night. Everything went well.
Commissioner Day.
I was also at Thornapple and Yankee tomorrow. No, Thursday.
Woodland Village last night, Woodland Township tonight, Village of Nashville Thursday. And we're going to have a work session at the community garden today.
Today?
All right. Commissioner Bassett.
I have GLIB tomorrow, Community Mental Health on Thursday. Then I have that ultimate decision when I have two meetings at the same time in two different cities. I have to decide whether I'm going to the Substance Use Task Force Policy Committee meeting or Region 3B COA meeting. Both, they say, is very important, so I'm just going to decide what to do on that. And that's it.
Okay. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may be so
Thanks for getting that last contract out of the way. I have a feeling morale's going to go up a little bit now. So this coming June, we were asked by some governor candidates if we do the security out here. Fairgrounds, the
Expo Center.
Thank you, Expo Center. So that's coming up. I think it's June 6th. I think it is, and they wanted some extra security. I don't know what it's like for them. I don't know if they're already getting threats or not. I don't know, but I know some of that stuff can get out of hand from personal knowledge. So, anyways, thanks again for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Heard anything on Rock the Country, Doug?
Not lately, no.
Okay.
Well, with the contract you just settled, that there'll be some impacts to Rock the Country on that because of the 3 times.
Yeah.
I've got 911's estimates, and they probably won't love them. So I think there's a meeting Thursday for the monthly meeting that Patrick holds. So I just want to take the opportunity, just two commissioners on materials management, the hazardous waste cleanup that was not last week and the weekend before. I was thoroughly impressed with the process. I was thoroughly impressed how it worked. I sent a message to Chief Bolter because the chief and the assistant chief from Hastings PD were out there along with many other officers. It's a great resource to have for our county. There's a lot of material that went away. We had an invoice for 5 semi-trucks and trailers. I'll let Rachel go into more detail when she comes, but I wanted to say thank you as a resident. That's why I'm up here right now. I would love getting rid of a lot of old chemicals and not having to dump them in my sewer or in the trash. So well done on that one, commissioners.
No additional public comment? Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bassett?
Great COA event. Thank you very much for the table that we had and those of us who attended. I was really impressed with that event. And then this Friday, we do give away our annual scholarships at Delton Kellogg. So we'll give away $127,000 to this year's students, but including the ones that are renewable from previous years, we'll have $145,000 in scholarships we will give away on Friday to our graduating seniors and previous seniors.
Awesome.
It's a good day.
Commissioner Carlton? Commissioner Day?
The household hazardous waste that was, and Eric came in like incognito, so I didn't even recognize him. I asked him for his name before I asked him for money. And so we brought in almost $4,300, and that's about over $2,000 more. I'm not going to steal Rachel's thunder, but just the change in policy with asking for donations at the gate rather than filling a tin up at the individual units has made a huge difference. And so Danielle and I both, we take 2 lanes and we ask for donations to help cover the cost of the event, and it's $4,300. So people are definitely willing to pay a couple bucks, average about $5 to $10 person. They're willing to do it if we continue to do it. So sometimes you just have to ask.
They're willing to do it when Catherine is out there doing the
It really-
Well, let's be honest about this. Okay?
It really taxed my name recognition because a lot of people that I knew by sight and not by name. And then a shout out to Yankee Springs Township and the DNR, who partner always the weekend before that event and do a cleanup. I think we had like 20-ish folks that went out and cleaned up the game area and roadsides, especially for tires, but we also clean up trash, but we time it with the tires so that we can take it to the household hazardous waste. So they had a trailer full of tires that they take out. We had a couple of TVs that we were able to take to the electronics recycling. So it's really, and that's those folks coming out on a Saturday in the spring and dedicating several hours. And then this Saturday, there's a bike rodeo, the Brian Appel Memorial Bike Rodeo in the village of Middleville, and that's from 10 to 1. So it's a good opportunity. They'll be doing free drawings for a lot of bikes, but also helmets. So if you know somebody, some young families, it's a great event to attend.
Thank you. Commissioner Schmelker?
The only thing I have is, I was absent or something. I hadn't heard anything about the 15th until our last security meeting. And I just started seeing the signs after I said I didn't know anything about that. So I don't know how long the sign's been up there, but when we go out to our constituents, we need to know this well in advance, and I believe we need to vote on that when it's going to be closed. I guess I don't see where the courts can plan around it too, but this body needs to know about it also, well in advance.
Yes, good point. Commissioner Hatfield?
Nothing.
Commissioner Campbell?
First, I want to thank Marcia for doing all that hard work on the educational scholarship, because my daughter benefited from that, and that was very much needed and appreciated what they do.
Will she be getting some?
This was 4 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Well, she had it for all 4 years. It was done very nicely. It was done very nicely. Also, just want to mention that out of Dalton, for 250th anniversary of our country, the birthday is coming up on the 4th of July, and unfortunately I got this vision, and I got myself some more work. We're going to have a big get-together out there. We're making it a community activity. We're going to have it family-oriented. I have that vision of the old-fashioned get-together. The activities outside will be aimed around our youth and patriotism. It will be a non-alcoholic event on the grounds, and later in the evening, if the adults chose to do so, there'll be a live band inside later. So, going to be a big get-together, a big celebration, and again, my vision, what better place to have something like that than at a VFW to celebrate our 250 years. So, pass it on if you can. It'd be great. Thank you.
July 4th. You're probably going to be gone somewhere.
No.
Good. I'm good, Mr. Chair. All set. All good? Okay. My only thought from the day is maybe we should talk to Jim about a turtle observation platform. So we can get out there, watch the turtles wander by, really enjoy it out there. Little sunshine, little umbrella. See how our $450,000 is well spent. So we better talk to the turtle king. Yeah, the turtle king. So anyway, thank you for our long meeting with some great information. You got a lot done today. Have a great day.